This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We are so glad you've joined us here with this beautiful scene. We've got elephants at the waterhole having the best time of their life. We've got monkeys, we've got geese, hammerkop, there's even a warthog that's coming to try and join us. I hope that you're going to enjoy this afternoon's wonderful sunset safari. Look at these beautiful things having the best time of their life. As you know, these are elephants and they are having a massive mud wallow. I almost wish that I could be in that scene with them right now. All right. Thank you for joining us here at Pridelands Conservancy. My name is Michael Anderson, and behind the camera we've got Gerrit, and here we've got this beautiful scene. I can't tell you how amazing it is to have this almost on a daily basis. We are sitting at the dam that's right next to our camp here at Eco Training, and if you hear any noises in the background, that's what it is. So don't worry if you hear any banging noises in the background. The students are actually getting ready for a sleep out somewhere on the reserve, so that'll be fantastic for them. I'm really excited. Look at these elephants. So they came in a few moments ago and started to drink, and now they've finished drinking. And it's a hot day. Actually, this morning was very warm, and today has been very warm as well. I think it's 28 degrees today. And so the elephants are just making the most of this nice, cool water. Really, really spectacular to see. There's a warthog there just to the right. I don't know if you see that. It's just trying to sneak its way into the mud that the elephants are disturbing. Just over there. So it's wonderful to see. So what they'll do after this, most likely, what they have been doing, these elephants are going to go and probably dust bathe after this. So they get the dust on their body after all this mud, helps to dry it up, and it serves multiple. Oh, look at that one lying down in the mud. No way. And look, it's flicking its foot around. When it tries to get up, you'll see it'll use its foot to try and get some momentum. Amazing. So what they will do, this helps them to stay cool from the sun. It also helps against biting insects. Oh, this is amazing. I mean, you ever seen, I don't know, on safaris, often kids, when you find a mud wallow, that's what they want to do. They want to climb in that mud. And elephants are literally just like people. I think they forget that they're not people sometimes. Look what they're doing. That one there looks like it's literally buried its face in the mud. And so the mud gets in all the little cracks and crevices and helps to keep the bitey insects away. Look at that one just swinging its leg around. Yeah, that's right. You get that mud. Get that mud. And there's that big elephant Kumo that you can see in the middle of the picture there. The biggest male in the area at the moment. So I think it was really, this is a lot of fun. I mean, just to watch them is a lot of fun. And, you know, I can imagine that they're having fun. You know, you watch elephants quite often and you just think to yourself, there's no other reason for them to be doing it the way they're doing it unless it's fun. I mean, look at that little pile of elephant bodies. I mean, they don't need to be covering themselves in mud like this. This is purely just an enjoyment factor that they're having right now. Because you see their old Kumo on the left, he's trying to be really, you know, majestic about the whole thing. But you can see he really wants to be in the mud too. I'm pretty sure about it. It's that big elephant that you can just see the back there. So it's interesting, all the babies are right in the middle there, all the youngsters piling up in there. But they have to be so careful because the big elephants might come and roll in there, and you never know if they also just get a little squished in the mud there. And they have to be careful, actually, because the mud is getting deeper and deeper every time they do this. And so sometimes you see the little ones trying to really get themselves unstuck. Oh, wow. I've never actually seen so many elephants mud wallowing in one little patch before. This is actually phenomenal. David, this is no doubt elephants having fun. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I would say I've wallowed a few times in my life, and it's always fun. There's never a time when wallowing isn't fun, I believe. But look at them now. So they all seem to be starting to get up, and except that one who's just, I think it's just sleeping in there now. It's like, this is the most comfortable place I could possibly be. This is just where I'm going to stay. And now they'll probably go up. You'll see them going to the right in a moment, and they'll start to cover themselves in dust. Well, that's what they usually do. And it's interesting. I just hear some low rumblings. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's just be quiet for a moment. And they seem to have stopped now, but often the matriarchs of the herd, the female that is the most experienced and usually the oldest female, will give some sort of a signal to say to everyone, all right, enough, let's keep moving, let's go and do the next thing now. And you'll see them all almost as one, starting to move on to the next little bit of beauty therapy. So you can see some of them now rolling in the dust just to the right there, beginning to cover themselves in the dust, which will dry off the mud, because the wind is a little bit chilly. It's a hot sun, but the wind is a bit chilly, so that'll dry off the dust, and then they'll be safe from any biting insects. The one female in the middle there, I don't know if you see the one that's surrounded by all the youngsters. She looks very, very big. Might be that she's pregnant. She's a very, very wide belly. Maybe she's got a youngster that's gonna appear in the next little while. Could be a long while though. They have a gestation of about 2 years, which is crazy. Oh, look at the babies playing. Tammy, yes. Tammy asked, would mud help to fight off parasites? And absolutely, that's exactly what it's good for. They will cover themselves in a thick layer of this mud, and then anything like ticks and fleas and biting flies, they can't penetrate that layer of mud, especially once it's dried. Oh, look at those youngsters. I can't stop staring at them. It's just too cute. And then what they'll often do is go and rub themselves against trees, and then any ticks and fleas and parasites that were caught in that mud when it dried will get ripped off the skin and left on the tree. And sometimes when we're lucky enough, we can actually find a freshly rubbed tree with those ticks still in there and moving about trying to escape. So definitely it does help against parasites. I mean, we do it often, you know, as humans. We exfoliate, we rub ourselves with rough things to try and clean our skin as well. Right, what I'm going to do now is we're going to send you over to Barney, who's at another waterhole, to enjoy that beautiful scene too.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to andBeyond Ngala. We remember for the first 45 minutes of our drive, kids, you can send your questions to kids@wildearth.tv. My name is Barney. I am with Owen, our cameraman of the day. We just arrived on a waterhole, catching a few different animals having their afternoon drink. Some kudos there to our left, drinking carefully. Keep going. So they standing there on the edge, not wanting to put their feet in the water at all, just making sure that there is nothing to grab them. If you look at these kudos, there's a beautiful reflection of them in the water there, with the oxpeckers all over around them, which is also another thing that's making them a bit nervous, because as they try to drink, the oxpeckers fly and land on them and they think that something big is catching them. It's always a great thing to be so alert in and around the water, because this is the same thing. The predators come down to drink and they might end up ambushing them. The kudos look like they have had their drink and they're ready to move out of this hot sun. We're going to move across on the other side of the waterhole and catch that dozen of zebra that's nicely lined up and also catching their drink. They're not looking as jumpy as the kudos were. Been standing there for a while, and it looks like they might have covered some nice distance to get into this waterhole. It has been a seriously hot day today for a winter day. So we're gonna just watch them drink for a bit here, and looks like they are ready to move on in a short while. And we're also gonna get out of this nice hot sun and see what we can get.
Good afternoon from another glorious day at Tswalu Kalahari. Jandre and myself are with you. So we came out, sorry, I'm just getting all excited. There's a clue in that image there. You see those birds? There we go, look at that ears. Those birds flying up and down. There's an aardvark. The first animal we've seen out this afternoon is an aardvark. Can you believe that? Even I'm like a little bit like taken aback. I'm just going to shuffle there. So guys, just so you know, we are miles away from that aardvark. Well, when I say miles, we're probably like 200 meters distance. We actually saw him coming around from the left, moving to the right. It's just behind those bushes there, and we are quite far away. The wind is in our favor at the moment, so I think what we're going to try do, we're going to give it a minute or two, and then we're going to see if we can actually move a little bit closer, either carrying the camera handheld, but I'm a little bit cautious about the bird starting to give alarm calls. So let's just watch him from a distance first, and then we'll make a call and see what he does. But he's very relaxed there at the moment. He's feeding, and you see there's the ant-eating chats coming in. I can't believe this. I was expecting to be out for at least another hour and a half before seeing this, and there you go. This is exciting stuff, eh? We had something the other day that we got quickly. What was it? Oh, yeah, this is a magic start. And John and I are just laughing because we did the same thing the other day. We were waiting for the brownie hyena, hoping, and we thought we were only getting it much later. And next thing, there's a brownie hyena just after we settled in the hide. And here, the first animal out that we see is an aardvark. I can't believe this. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's behind the bushes. We just need to be patient because Monique says she loves those ears. I love any ear attached to any animal, but aardvark ears are particularly cute. I don't know why, but they are. If he moves behind the bushes, then we're going to see if we can, and there we go. So John and I think we're going to see if we can actually somehow get a better sighting, and we'll...
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We have a giraffe to start our live safari off here at Djuma Reserve. And talking of ears, there's something wrong with this giraffe's ossicones, I think. The right one looks slightly bent and looks like there's been some damage at some point. So it's a hot day here, and this giraffe is absolutely seeking the shade, which I would love to be doing. My name is Lauren. I do have BK on camera. It's 31 degrees Celsius here, 87 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's hot for winter. That's summer in Scotland. That's a heat wave in Scotland, actually. So this is exactly what this giraffe is doing. Now, I think it's a male, judging by the baldness on the ossicones and the dark patches, but I haven't done a genital check yet. Is that a wound, BK? On the neck, if you just go down a little bit further, there seems to be a patch of hair missing. I wonder if it's a scar. I think it is. The giraffe's injured itself somewhere along the line. And of course, it's got the usual hitchhikers in the form of the oxpeckers. They probably are pulling off all those delicious ticks. I wonder what's happened to this giraffe, actually. It's got an injury and a bent ossicone. Now, they're not horns. We call them ossicones with giraffes. And they're actually very soft and rubbery, made from cartilage when the giraffe is born. And this is to prevent any injury to the mother. And only when the giraffe calf starts to grow will they harden, will they ossify, and they turn into bone. Giraffe can't make up his mind. Does he want to eat the delicious leaves lower down, or should I stretch out my neck and eat the leaves higher up? I think the higher up ones are obviously a lot delicious. A lot more delicious than the lower ones. Thick, rubbery lips and a very thick, rubbery tongue. And it needs to be thick and needs to be rubbery to avoid getting injured from any thorns and spines. Jackie, I completely agree with you. This male is very calm. I think it's because we're at quite a distance and he's obviously just enjoying the shade. Animals get too hot, just like we do. And for mammals, seeking shade is one of the best options you have. Okay, I'm going to check water holes today for that exact reason. I think a lot of animals will be thirsty, but we're going to send you guys to Mike, whose animals are enjoying some swimming.
Well, welcome back. So Lauren was talking about animals seeking shade when it's hot. The other thing they can do is swim. And so we see here the bulls from that herd we had at the water earlier have stuck around to enjoy a little bit of a guide time. Just having a bit of a play fight in the water with the kumo just watching over there, making sure they don't get too rough. Look at that one climbing right on top of the back of the other one. Now, I tell you what, no logical explanation for doing this apart from just having the best time of their life. Look at that. Yeah, that's right. That's like the elephant equivalent of a fist pump. Just having the best time. So they are, there's Kumo now getting in on the action. He's going to come and join them maybe. He's starting to walk a bit deeper into the water. So he's much, much larger than these other young bulls. And now he's seen them, mounting each other and pushing. And now I think he's maybe wants to show off some of his strength as well. Not that he needs to. He's literally head and shoulders above them. And the other bulls have now actually really started to behave themselves a lot more. And they're just acting like the one is hiding behind the other one. If you look over there, almost like trying to hide away from Kumo's stares, his fatherly stares. Ethan has asked, who's 8 years old, has asked, how do elephants use their tusks and what are they actually for? And Ethan, that's a great question, and it's something that we, see a lot of, is elephants using their tusks to snap branches and twigs. And if you watch what these elephants do, you'll see them pushing, look at that, pushing their heads together, and the tusks often lock in to each other in order so that they don't hurt themselves when they're pushing against each other. But they can also use them as weapons. Often the mothers will use their very sharp tusks to defend their babies if predators come too close, or even large elephants. But many other things. It's the equivalent. It's the same as having a tool belt, except it's just one tool. But it does a bit of everything. They can dig. They can scratch the bark off some trees. I'll show you in a moment. There's a tree right next to us which actually has some bark that's been ripped off. And they use them for digging up roots and snapping branches and all sorts of different things. So they're very wonderful tools. Sometimes I wish I had a pair of tusks myself. It seems like there's even more elephants coming down to the water. It's a very busy waterhole today. We'll end up spending our whole day here. So Ethan, I hope that answered your question. The elephants use their tusks for basically everything. As you can see now, they're using them just to wrestle. Believe it or not, one elephant is standing up and Kumo is actually sitting down on his back legs. That's how much bigger he is than these other elephants. It's amazing. So I don't know if you noticed, that large elephant at the back that I keep referring to as Kumo has got a collar on its neck. So that's how we can recognize that one. And they use that collar for all sorts of things, for monitoring their movements, part of research. So all the while these elephants are playing in the water, the other herd has been moving off, and every now and again we see these little quiet rumbles. I don't know if you guys can hear that. They're not very loud. And elephants use something called infrasound, which is basically just sounds so low that we can't even hear them. Oh, a little short there, buddy. Don't think you're going to get on top of that. I say as it slips off. This is purely playful behavior. There's really, elephants are one of the few animals that it's now a dolphin. it's a dolphin elephant. So they very rarely we see animals playing, and we can't be sure if it is playing or not, but this definitely looks to me like playing. Of course, it's also important when they push each other around like this. It's part of strengthening not only their social bonds, but also establishing who is stronger and bigger and tougher than the other. And doing it in the water actually is a bit safer because they don't have their full weight behind them crushing each other and hitting each other. You can just see the other elephants and a warthog in the background wanting to join in. Probably the other elephants are just waiting there because these rambunctious or very energetic male elephants might be a little bit worrisome for them. They might be worried that they be a bit too aggressive. Amazing how deep the water still is. This waterhole used to go all the way up to where the mud is in the background. It covered the whole muddy area. But even though it's dropped, by about half, it's still deep enough to swallow up a whole elephant. Look at that. It's a little elephant island. Zoti has asked if elephants can swim, or if they just walk on the bottom like hippos. It's quite interesting. I don't know how deep I've ever seen an elephant go into water, or whether they walk through water deep enough for them to swim in. But I assume that an elephant can probably do something of a doggy paddle type of thing, but most of the time what you're seeing is they're just walking along the bottom, like what a hippo would do. Hippos also can sort of make themselves float a little bit, but they can't swim as such, or they don't swim. They probably can, but they don't. So elephants, also just walk along the bottom. But I think I read somewhere that they found an elephant crossing to an island somewhere off of, I think it was Asia, and this elephant swam across to this island. So maybe they can swim. I don't know if it would be swimming as we think of it, but definitely like a little doggy paddle type of scenario. Zoti, if I ever see it, I'll be amazed. I would love to see it. Oh, we've lost one elephant. They're so big, but in this waterhole, gone. Amazing. Speaking of hippos, there's something quite amazing. Lauren's got a hippo out of water.
I was going to surprise you all and tell you these birds were sitting on a log. But it's not a log. We have two red-billed oxpeckers sitting on what could be, oh no, there's three, sorry, could be mistaken as a log, but it is a hippo. This is the hippo from our Gowrie Dam, and for some reason it's not staying nourished and cool and hydrated in the dam. It's came here to a drainage line. This is what a fat sleeping hippo looks like, everyone. Blends in very, very well. Now, the drainage lines are slightly lower and cold air sinks, warm air rises. So it's a lot cooler in the drainage lines on a day like today. And of course, there's lots of shade. So it's the ideal spot.
Stations have been unable to locate.
Oh, sorry, that's Mr. Hendry. But I do wonder why he's not in the water. I think it's a male. I think it's a territorial male. But winter's normally a tough time for hippos. You will find males very injured, wounded, sulking, because the water becomes very scarce. In dams, the volume drops and fights start to break out. But this year is slightly different. We have had a lot of water this summer and the dams are still very, very full. Have you got an injury on your snout, Mr. Hippo? Yes, you have. Ouch. That's a small one. Yes, so it's normally very common to find injured males in winter, but I have to say I'm surprised since the water bodies are all still so full that this one would be sulking from injury. It would surprise me. Hippos love to fight, but they're terrible at it. They're really not good fighters, but they clearly think they are. And they get wounded very easily. Now, what'll be interesting to see if any of these oxpeckers, I now see 4, go for that wound. Because oxpeckers were always said to assist herbivores by plucking out the ticks, just like I mentioned on the giraffe. But there's new science that said that might actually not be the case. These gorgeous birds can end up keeping the wound open to get to the blood, promoting infection, and never ever letting the wounds heal, which weakens the animal. And if the wound is quite severe, it could end, well, it could be fatal. So these gorgeous birds are starting to get a little bit of a reputation for that. But it seems none of them are interested in this particular wound on the hippo's snout. But they're enjoying sitting on the hippo, that's for sure. Jim, you're wondering if this is normal behavior for a hippo. We do see it quite a bit, but it's not normal, no. Generally speaking, hippos spend all day in the water because they are buoyed up. Yeah, something. Got another vehicle coming. We're going to have to pull out of the way. I'm afraid, everyone. I couldn't figure out where that noise was coming from. I'm sorry. But no, it's generally not typical behavior. And this hippo's starting to move. So we're just going to get out its way. The last thing you want to do is get yourself in between a hippo and the water point. They can be very, very grumpy animals. But they spend all day in the water. And then as the sun sets, gets dark, it's getting cooler, they tend to come out the water to forage. So it's not really technically normal. Okay, we're going to head on to the next water point. And as we do that, we're going to send you over to Damon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda. My name is Damon, and behind the camera this afternoon we've got Marcel. And following on from this morning, where we spent the morning out in the open grassy plains looking for some rhinos, we've come back to the plains with the hope of trying to find you an elusive black rhino for the afternoon. And to start off with, we've managed to find a herd of buffaloes. Have a look at all of those faces, all curious, looking at us.
Apologies for those technical difficulties. We've still got a lot of awesome elephants. We've got basically another whole herd that started to come down to the water. A whole bunch of bulls, and the elephants that were dust bathing got jealous and wanted to come back and drink more water, so they've come back. It looks like these ones have got a bit of mud on their bodies and things, so I think this is the group that was here before. Oh, on the very far left there, you'll see one elephant which has got a ripped ear. So that is the one we think is the matriarch of this particular herd. She's been affectionately nicknamed Elisha Keys. It looks like a bit like a keyhole in her ear. But absolutely wonderful to see them still here. They've spent the better part of the whole afternoon just sticking around our waterhole. So let's count. How many elephants are actually here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I mean, I can't even count them all. They're so spread out. But there's got to be at least 30 elephants here. Maybe more. Maybe 40. All spread about. There's a few more in the far distance there, just slowly making their way down. Oh, this is the kind of scene which you wish you could see when you're on a safari, and you are seeing it, so it's fantastic. I'm so glad that you came to join us here. I'd like to string up a hammock here and just spend the whole afternoon here. I'm going to actually just put a little flag here and say this is our spot. And there's one elephant there in the middle who's just having just had a big stretch and then a splash. Nothing wrong with that, old buddy. See that what they do? See what it's doing with its legs? It's trying to get some momentum to kick itself up again. In the water, it's not so hard because the water helps their body to get up. But sometimes when they're lying on the flat ground, it's very difficult for them to get back up again. Oh yeah, not quite finished yet. Got to get that mud everywhere, in all the places you can't reach. See how it's got its ears open there, and you can see lots of veins and blood capillaries and things. So those actually help to keep that elephant nice and cool. So when it goes into the water and splashes around like this, water splashes all over its ears. What are you doing? It's having a fight with the water, an argument. Didn't like what it said to him. And once those ears are nice and wet, they open their ears up, and the wind blows and helps to cool them down. It's about 30 degrees today, so it's a very warm day for winter, considering that last night it was about 10 degrees. So it's very, very chilly at night, but nice and hot during the day. It's beautiful. And there's some more porpoising going on. These elephants really do think they're dolphins. I think it's amazing. And then, actually, go over to where that elephants are mud wallowing. There's one bird which is quite interesting, which I think you should all see. I think a lot of you have seen this bird before. I think it's just off to the right there. There's a hammerkop. It's very small in the frame. It's just walking towards where the elephants are mud wallowing. Very interestingly, this hammerkop eats frogs and fish and tadpoles and anything that it can find. But right now the elephants are disturbing everything, so any frogs that were hiding in the mud around there are now having to escape, and the hammerkop is trying to make the most of that. It's so clever. So you'll watch it. Sometimes it'll actually try and disturb the mud with its feet. The frogs are getting it from all sides. Unfortunately, they're not having a great day. The frogs are not having a great day, but the elephants and the hammerkop are having a wonderful time. So you often find the hammerkop rubbing its feet to try and disturb them. Lila, happy birthday. I'm glad you're enjoying this on your birthday. All the way from Hout Bay. I'm glad you're here able to join us. This is just this would be the perfect birthday, isn't it? What a present to see such beautiful elephants doing their thing. I wonder if it's any of these elephants' birthday today. I wonder if anyone would be able to tell that. No, it'd be impossible, but it'd be awesome if we did know. Elephants have great memories. They remember places and times and, all sorts of things. They're famous for it. I really wonder if any elephant has ever celebrated a birthday. Oh, there's the one little baby there which has got no tail. Oh, he just popped back in again. There's a little baby elephant in this particular group who's got no tail, which is interesting. I don't know what might have happened to it, but seems to be doing all right without it. Not suffering any more than it. Well, right now it's not suffering at all. It's having the best time of its life in a little pile of mud. Hammerkop's still there. Hammerkop's thinking it could be an elephant too. Oh, look. All-Star, that's a fantastic question. How much do elephants have to drink in a day? I suppose it varies, All-Star. I suppose some days they might have to drink more if it's very hot and dusty and dry, like today. And some days they drink less if it's nice and wet and the food that they eat has lots of green in it. I suppose let's talk about a large elephant. Oh, there's a Ngala coming down to drink as well. That's awesome. Don't often see Ngalas. Just to the right here, Gerrit. We don't have many Ngala in this part of the reserve, so that's really wonderful to see. So they say that, there was something that I heard, 7% of your body weight per day you have to drink in water. I mean, if an elephant has to drink 7% of its body weight in water, that must be hundreds of liters of water every day. So yeah, definitely. And if I can look at this waterhole and how much it's dropped in the last month or so since I was last here, I can see that the elephants have been drinking a lot. So All-Star, I suppose it depends on the day, but certainly a lot. Maybe 50 to 100 liters. That's just an estimate. I'll have to look that up. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll have a better answer for you guys. Or if anyone else knows the answer and you can help me answer it, that would be fantastic. I know that each trunk can hold about 10 liters of water, 10 to 30 liters, if the video that I saw yesterday was anything to go by. Uh-oh. Is Kuma having a good scratch there, or is he coming to chase the Ngala? Oh no, he's just having a good scratch. Yeah, nothing like a butt scratch. That poor leadwood tree. And that was the elephant equivalent of a fist bump again. He enjoyed that. Monique, it is a great size comparison. You're right. These elephants are huge, and it's actually much further away than the Ngala. So you can imagine if a lot of trumpeting and all sorts going on. The elephants are having an absolute... This is an elephant party. And look at that. That huge elephant bull just reached up and got a branch. Elephant bulls, or elephants, are the only animals that can compete with giraffes for how high the leaves that they can get. And as I was saying before, this elephant is much further away than these Ngala. If it was standing directly next to these Ngala, I don't think they would even come up to its knee. That's how big it is. Oh, it's a very brave Ngala, though. Not bothered at all by that elephant. I suppose it has no reason to worry. It's not doing anything to the elephant. Oh, never mind. Oh, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do... Go on, get up on your back legs. Did you see how he lowered his back legs there to try and balance themselves? Elephants are quite top heavy, especially this elephant. You can see it's got a huge head. So if it leans a bit too much in one direction or the other, it'd be very uncomfortable. If it had to do a bit of a face plant. It's amazing to see them reaching up like that. You know, most of the trees are getting very dry now, so the fact that this leadwood still has these beautiful green leaves, it's not what they would normally eat. The leaves are actually quite tough, but because they're still green and probably quite nutritious, they'd rather eat those than some of the drier stuff. Well, we are going to keep enjoying this beautiful elephant party, and we'll send you over to James to introduce himself.
Good afternoon and welcome. We're on the eastern edge of Djuma. And why are we on the eastern edge of Djuma, you might ask yourself? Well, because we've come looking for Thandi. And word, I'm afraid, on the radio is that she has been found over there where we cannot go. She's killed an impala and her cub is with her. And I came to check here, just morbidly fascinated as to when she came across. Her tracks are on top of all the vehicle tracks from this morning, and if you look over here, can you see over here, Niels? On my hand, you got it? Okay, that's the cub's track. And so what she did was she came to fetch him. She was obviously in Torchwood this morning. She killed, went out during the middle of the day, came back again with him, and they are now about to sup upon an impala. So she has eluded me once more. We went to check for Molwati, the male leopard. Unfortunately, I think he's taken his kill into some very thick, deep bush. And for those of you who were with us this morning, you will have been privileged to see the magnificence of that leopard doing his kill. And unfortunately, he is very nervous of vehicles, and one of the vehicles got very close to him and he took off. We'll go back there again sometime during this evening, probably just before it gets really dark. We'll go back and have a look, but I think he's taken it into some very thick bush. So our plan is going to be to go down towards Chitwa, which is the reserve to the south of us, spend a little bit of time at the water there. Maybe we too will have an elephant pool party. I guess it's almost a sort of morbid relief that Thandi's gone the other side, so that she can't continue to elude me. I know where she is. I know I can't see her, and that's the way it is. Anyway, I'm glad she has a meal. I'm glad she and her cub have a meal. For those of you who don't know, Thandi is probably our favourite female leopard. She's 13 years old. She's got a young bebe who doesn't have a name yet. Although I will tell you, the landowners in Torchwood have called him Wolfgang, which I know will send Twitter into a thrommy of heart attacks, aneurysms, hypertension. Anyway, it wasn't me. Please don't complain. The last time I named something, there was a flood of emails and I got into big trouble. Please don't blame me. It's not my fault. They called him that. I won't call him that, I promise. Good. We are going now down to Chitwa and see if we can find something down there. All righty.
So you have come to us now, sitting with this large elephant bull who's been plucking branches from the tree right in front of us, this big leadwood tree, and enjoying them. I really hope that he does something which I've only ever seen once before, which is where they rise up on their back two legs, like what you used to see in circus elephants, you know, on those cartoons like Dumbo and stuff. The elephants rise up on their back legs and reach right up into the tree. There's still a few branches that are in reach, so let's see. He's going to do it again. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, he's camera shy. Sorry. No, we're not watching you, I swear. I promise. We are looking everywhere but you. You can do your thing, don't worry. He's got an itchy foot. He's been scratching both his feet on every little piece of rock that it could find, or branch. So definitely something is bothering it between its toenails. Oh no, a little bit too tall. Look, there's another one just to the left. You can reach that one also. Yeah, that way. Gosh, this is amazing. This elephant is so huge. We're up on a bit of a mound here, so we're a bit taller than where its feet are. But if we were at the eye level, or at the level, like even space with this elephant, it would tower above us. This is gorgeous. If you look closely, you can see those long eyelashes on this elephant, which help to protect its eyes when it's feeding on some of those really thorny branches, like what it's feeding on right now. Oh, and look at the beautiful, soft brown eyes on this elephant. Oh man, so I've often heard much more experienced guides than myself talking about elephants having calm eyes, soft eyes. You know, when you see the soft eyes of an elephant, then you know that you're in a safe place. I certainly don't feel threatened by this gentleman at all. He's really, really doing his best to reach these branches. So, will this elephant's collar be damaged by the water? I don't think so. I think it's surrounded by a sort of a hard gel, which protects it like a silicone-based seal, so it should be quite safe from the water. But if it's too rough, maybe fighting with other elephants, and then, I'm going to talk a bit quiet, he's very close to us, and then maybe damages the seal, cracks the seal, playing too rough or rubbing against the tree. Oh wow, look at that in its mouth. I've never seen inside an elephant's mouth before. So if it was damaged, maybe it would leak. But this one, I think, is working just fine. I've never seen inside of an elephant's mouth. That was amazing. You know, when you yawn and you don't cover your mouth, and people always tell you, I can see your lunch. This one, we really could see his lunch. It was really epic. Man, I'm enjoying this. So you can see his tusks now. We were talking about the tusks being tools before. So when you look at its tusks, you can see these tusks have seen a lot of work. They're quite blunt on the end and rounded. And that goes to show that they use them frequently to rub against trees and get the bark and get roots and break branches. And often elephants will have one tusk shorter or blunter than the other. So on this particular elephant, it looks like the right tusk is a bit shorter than the left. Look, he's rubbing his foot again. He's really got something that's bothering its foot. I don't want to start my car. He's very close, but I don't want to start my car because it might disturb him, the sound. I'm going to just stay here nice and quiet. And, yeah. So we're talking about the tusks of this elephant and how... So this elephant Kumo has got the right tusk looks a lot shorter than the left one. So it's probably a right-handed elephant. Uses the right tusk a lot more for the tasks, the daily duties. Oh, that looks good. You can really look at its eyes and how it seems to be just enjoying that scratch. Julian, who is 6 years old, is wondering how old elephants get. That's a good question. And elephants can, it depends on which books you read and obviously the area that they live in, but I'd suppose maybe somewhere between 60 and 65 years old would be a very, very old elephant. This particular elephant next to us right now is in his prime. I would suggest this elephant's probably not much older than about 40. It's big, broad head, strong, full body. I think he's really maybe even a little bit younger than 40. But certainly not near 60 or anything like that. He is really in a great shape. is beautiful, elephant bull. So, yeah, it depends also if they live in a very dry area and they have to eat a lot of sticks and twigs and dry stuff, their teeth get damaged, and then once their teeth are all damaged, they can't eat so easily, and then they don't make it to very old. But if they live somewhere with lots of water and green grassy food, then they can live to a very ripe old age, 60 to 65. So if Kumo eats too many of these leadwood branches, which are, some of the toughest branches that you could probably get, it would damage his teeth. So he's hopefully only going to feed on these now whilst it's very dry. Once the wet season comes again, it will start to feed on the softer, greener grasses. It's a good question, though. I've often wondered. Yeah, this elephant is doing a bit of a moonwalk. I mean, you kind of have to, don't you, to reach up those... Oh, we're looking right in his mouth again. Look at that. Man, oh man. I literally can't believe it. Oh, that's a big branch. I don't know if you're going to fit that all in your mouth. Don't be a pig. Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Don't play with your food. Nope, the whole thing, gone. Like when... our students in camp, they get themselves a big bowl of spaghetti and they just inhale that thing and it's gone in 2 seconds. Last night we experienced that, and this is exactly what old Kumo is doing right now. He's just grabbing whole chunks, and all the other elephants are behind as well. I mean, look at that. There's still so many elephants all around. There's one rubbing against a apple leaf tree. There's some playing in the water. We've got a whole bunch still mud wallowing, and there's even more further back amongst the trees still coming down. And we've got some little babies breakdance fighting on that damn wall over there. Look at that. Zooming down to chase after everyone else. This is crazy. Be careful when you run over those things. I'll tell you what, that dried clay can be quite uncomfortable to run over, so you must be careful. Just listen to all the sounds. Well, something disturbed them over there in that corner. You see how all the babies went close to the mothers, and there's one opening its ears. Could be that some other creature came along and disturbed them, or it could just be that maybe one of the elephants did something another one didn't like, and they're having a bit of an argument now. We'll keep listening a little bit longer. It's beautiful, the sounds. Now, what we're hearing is some... All right. So the kids session is now officially over, although the kids can still keep sending their questions in, but we're now welcoming questions from everyone. So please, everyone, please send your questions through, I think, to questions@wildearth.tv. Please send us all your questions. Please. We love the questions. We love them all. The kids keep watching. There's cool stuff still coming. #WildEarth. Please send your questions through to #WildEarth. Man, the sounds are incredible. Sometimes when it's dark at night and we can't see any of these elephants, we hear these same sorts of sounds, and it's incredible. You can see our camp just in the background there as Kumo just rubs his bum on the tree that he was just eating. That just seems a little disrespectful there, Kumo. But, I mean, fair enough. Look at all the dust coming off. That's from all the mud wallowing that he was doing earlier. Oh. He's kind of making eye contact with me. I don't know how I feel about this as he rubs his bum against that tree. Feeling a little awkward. But I guess, I mean, these are the special moments in life, right? It's amazing. You can really see the dust that's settled all over its skin. So you can see these dark and light patches all over its body. This elephant was a pale grey color when he first arrived at the waterhole. Now, almost turning, like almost black actually, like the color. Nora, you're right. It is an absolute privilege to be able to experience elephants just like this. The sounds, the sights, everything about it is just absolutely phenomenal. These are truly some of the greatest creatures on Earth. I mean, I know they say the lion is the king of the beasts, but I've seen many lions running away from elephants before, so really elephants run the show. And it is a privilege for us to be so close to them. And in fact, what's happening right now, we're being let into their life. This isn't us going to the elephants. We literally sat here and these elephants came and did their thing right in front of us. That is literally the greatest compliment that we could be paid as guides, to know that we're being allowed a glimpse into these animals' lives from such an intimate position. Right, so we're going to be sending you over to Phinda to enjoy some vultures whilst we enjoy this view.
Welcome back, everyone. Apologies, we've been having some technical issues here, but we are back up and running, and we've managed to find a small group of vultures perched up in a dead tree. So, just looking through my binoculars, and of course you guys looking through the zoom of the camera, it looks like there's 4 white-backed vultures perched up in that tree, and looking pretty comfortable. Look at how they've got their necks pulled into their bodies. They're all puffed up. There's a bit of a chilly breeze that's starting to blow. Lots of clouds coming in. And it looks like these vultures, just based on where they're perched, see how they're perched high up on that dead tree. It looks like they found their roosting spot for the coming evening. And they would have spent the day soaring on thermals over these vast plains in search of any carcasses on which they could have fed. And the fact that they're all sitting so comfortably up in that tree, not looking particularly interested in anything on the ground. Also, we haven't seen any flying up off of the ground. We haven't heard the sounds of vultures fighting. That tells us that there probably isn't a carcass anywhere nearby. And out on these plains where we are, big trees are in short supply. So wherever there is one, it's prime real estate for these vultures to roost in for the nights. Now, have a close look, everybody. I'm just going to ask Marcel to focus on... It's a bit tough to see because of how concealed it is. But if you look into the middle of that tree, the vulture that's lowest down, the one that's somewhat concealed behind a stick there, busy preening itself, I don't know if you can see its head and how white it is when you compare it to the rest of those white-backed vultures in that tree. And it's not because it's a different species of vulture, it's because it's quite a young vulture. So I'd just like to show you in the bird book here quickly. Have a look over here. So these are all white-backed vultures, and all at different stages of their lives. So it normally takes about 5 years or so for a white-backed vulture to achieve this plumage here. This is what the adult plumage looks like. See, there's that very distinct black and white on the underside of the wing, and that very dark neck and head. Compare that to what they look like in their first year. Look at how streaky they are. And see how they've got their neck covered in white like it's most similar to this one over here, just starting to lose the white fluff around its neck. And of course, these white-backed vultures will use those long necks of theirs to reach into carcasses to help them to pull out the choicest bits of meat whenever they're feeding on a carcass. Ooh, gruesome thought. We're going to leave these vultures for now, everyone, and we're going to carry on into the plains to go see if we can find any fresh signs.
I just want to apologize for our other link. We got that aardvark so quickly. It was actually, again, Jadra that spotted it. So it was a bit of a rushed introduction there. But anyway, we're back and we are currently looking at a ground squirrel. What they call a Cape ground squirrel. We haven't seen these really nicely on our drives so far. But look how cute that little guy is. So he's out foraging here. And what's interesting is that I'm not seeing any other squirrels around the area. And normally they go in nice colonies. You can get 5 of them together. Sometimes you can get 20 or 30 of them together. And they often co-inhabit burrow systems where meerkats are. And there doesn't seem to be any direct competition. These little guys are herbivores. Meerkats are going more for insects and lizards and scorpions and things. But there certainly will be competition for the actual burrow spaces. So you normally only find those mixers, squirrels, meerkats, sometimes even yellow mongoose, at the burrow systems that are larger with more entrance holes. So just to see this one little guy out here by himself, and I'm not even seeing a burrow system actually anywhere close by here, so. He's just foraging there. And what we... Natasha says this is very unexpected. She thought it was a meerkat in disguise. Yeah, Natasha, you're quite right. They're not dissimilar to meerkats in their general appearance. What is notably different, apart from like the other features, but one thing that is notably different, and unfortunately, I'm just going to pull forward. Let's see if we can get it. But we must look at this big bushy tail that they've got. Whereas if you recall, the meerkats got this long, slender, very, very slender tail that they use for sort of propping themselves up. But let's just pull forward and see if we can actually see this little guy a bit better.
We have got an astonishing sighting here of 2 Wildebeest, not one, but 2 of them here on the great plains of Cheetah, where grass is growing, bushes are losing their leaves, birch-all starlings are squawking, and these Wildebeest are scratching themselves. Wonderful. The silence is almost deafening. In the best possible way, that is. And it really is not a sound, but for the odd hoof fall as they walk. The swish of the tail and a slight hum from the back of the vehicle, but that's absolutely it. And a fly. Zzz. Wonderful. It's a delicious afternoon for midwinter. Owen, this is why kids' questions are the best questions. Do I think that prey animals are afraid when they see their own reflections? No, I don't think so, Owen, because they must see their reflections when they drink. They must see themselves, whether they know that's themselves or maybe because it's in water and it's moving around a bit, they don't really acknowledge it. I don't know. But now I don't think that they're afraid of themselves. We know that birds, when they see their own reflections, Owen, can react in a way that doesn't indicate that they're afraid. They get quite angry because they think that there's another bird trying to get to their territory, get in on their territory. So they don't get afraid. They definitely see their reflections as other birds. Not all birds do that. I think crows are able to recognize that they're actually looking at themselves in the mirror. But things like hornbills and barbets spend a lot of time fighting with glass if they can see their reflections. I don't think that it's the same with prey animals like this. And Owen, you might like to know how on earth you can tell whether an animal is looking at itself or realizes that it's looking at itself. And one of the ways they do that is they'll put something like a drop of pink paint on the head of the animal that they want to test, and then they put a mirror in front of that animal. And if the animal is able, or maybe not on the head, somewhere where they can reach, if they then touch that pink piece on them, then they know that the animal is recognizing that it's a reflection and not another animal. See what I mean? I don't think a wildebeest would do that. I think if you somehow manage to put a lion mask on the wildebeest without the wildebeest knowing that it had a lion mask on, and then put a mirror in front of the wildebeest, then I think it would totally freak out. Right, Mike's pool party has now turned into a mud party.
Mud party has now turned into a dust party. As you can see, there's all these elephants are having the time of their life, throwing dust all over each other and themselves, and also having a bit of a wrestle. They look like gladiators in an arena. And these are all the young males from those herds which were here earlier that have been left behind now to, play fight with each other and test their skills and get stronger. Often the mothers in the herds do not like this kind of behavior. It's too rough, especially with the babies around. So these young males that are all very, aggressive with each other and rough with each other. Oh, there's a tusk up the bum. Ouch. Will be allowed to play to their heart's content now, and then when they're finished playing, they'll go and join up with the herds again. A lot of these elephants are actually at the age where, most of them have been already removed from the herd, but some of the younger ones might still be part of the herd, or at least shadowing the herd. Remember, elephants, the males, usually get chased away by the mothers when they reach their sort of mid-teens. The light is so amazing with these elephants throwing dust on each other. I wonder if they ever get dust in the eyes. Well, no, we talked about those long eyelashes, which would probably also help them. We can't show you the eyelashes from this distance, unfortunately. We're on the other side of the dam, but it's really nice for us to be able to look at them from a distance without disturbing them at all. Because these younger elephants are often quite keen to show off their strength to each other, as you can see right there, and to the vehicles. So being a bit further away means that they are doing their thing without any sort of other interruptions. That is Sassy Kathy. That is a question that I've often asked myself. Do elephants fear other animals? And if they did, which one would they fear the most? I mean, I think we always see on cartoons and things that they get afraid of mice, and I've definitely seen that before. I've seen little things running in the grass in front of elephants and they get a big fright, but I think they're not really afraid of them, except that it just gives them a bit of like a jump. I think probably larger elephants I often see when a big male saunters into the group. You'll hear screaming and screeching and elephants running away. So I don't think they fear each other, but they've definitely got a healthy respect for the larger elephants because, of course, nothing stops an elephant from getting its way when it really wants to, especially if it's a very big one. But, of course, I've seen elephants also chasing predators. They do not like any predators anywhere near them, especially if they've got youngsters. So this herd with all the baby elephants would have definitely been very, very protective and would have chased away lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, anything that has teeth and eats meat would have been chased away. So it's very, very important to remember that when there are predators in a situation close to elephants, that you must be very careful, because you never know which direction are these animals going to start running and chasing each other around. But they are certainly very, very wary of predators, but not afraid, I don't think. I don't think elephants are afraid of anything, to be honest. I hope that answers your question, Sassy Kathy. Now everything seems to be calming down. The elephants have played, they've dust bathed, they've drunk lots of water, and now it's time to start making their way up into the low hills around Pride Lands in order to do some last-minute feeding before they find a place to settle down. I think it might be windy again this evening, so they might even choose somewhere which is a little bit sheltered to rest. They've got big ears, so they don't like the wind very much. Right, so whilst these elephants make their way up into the hills, we'll send you off to another beautiful scene.
So this is slightly morbid, but still very, very interesting. What we got is an old leopard kill, well, what appears to be an old leopard kill of a grey duiker. Hanging in this tree. There we go, you can see it there nicely. It's not fresh at all. When I say it's old, this is like a mummy, and it is bone dry. You know, it's just like goes to powder. The wind's blowing straight towards me. But it's a grey duiker, and it's a little male grey duiker. It's got tiny little horns, so this was a youngster. And very, very typical of leopard. We had it on the drive this morning, leopard killing or going for a warthog. And we've seen it before where they just take these kills up trees. In this environment, it's no different. A lot of brown hyena out here. So this leopard would have been very, very quick to get this to a tree and up. Brown hyena and leopard, although even a leopard male, that 80, 90 kilograms sometimes, it's still possible for brown hyenas actually just to mob them and chase them off the kill. Sometimes even a single brown hyena. So the best option here for these cats is just get it up a tree, get it out of reach. Once, years ago, I set up 2 camera traps. I got a leopard on an impala kill, and so I thought it would be fun to set up a camera trap in the tree and on the ground. And anyway, the one on the ground disappeared, and it took myself and some researchers like two days to find it. These brown hyenas had carried it away. But on those cards, there were over 4,500 images of a leopard sitting in the tree, just snarling and growling and feeding, and 2 brown hyenas on the ground, just looking up, waiting for something to fall. So brown hyenas, absolutely, although they're not in the same league as spotted hyenas, a brown hyena will never go for a lion. It'll never try to harass a lion, but spotted hyenas will. But certainly with brown hyenas and leopards, it's brown hyenas hands down every day. So, but anyway, so that's just interesting to note that that's something cool that we spotted. And we're just going to keep ambling down and see, maybe we'll be luckier than another aardvark.
Hello everyone, welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. Just before I continue, I just want to give you all a warning. If you are sensitive, this would be a good time to look away. We have come up onto this hillside and come upon quite a somber scene in a very, very small zebra foal that has unfortunately lost its mother. And that is obviously mom lying there. We're not quite sure what's killed her. We're not able to see her face. It doesn't appear that she was attacked by a predator. But what is clear is that this little foal is not wanting to leave her side. And see what it's doing there. It's busy sticking its nuzzling kind of where her teats are, trying to suckle from her. yeah, it's obviously quite a traumatic scene to see, and I can only imagine what it's like for this little zebra foal. Now the rest of his, we presume to be his harem, is nearby. The harem stallion, in fact, is pretty close to him right now, just to the left of him, busy feeding. But at that young age, that foal is definitely going to need milk, and just a diet of grass is not going to do it for him. There's the stallion, invariably the father of this little foal. Yeah, so while this is very sad to see and difficult to watch, it is important to remember that this is nature, and while it's very sad that this mare has passed away and that this little foal is left without its mother. Wind, you say it's heartbreaking. I can't agree with you more, Wind. It is very, very, very difficult to watch, to be honest. But like I was saying, it is necessary that this happens. And remember, we saw all those vultures a little bit earlier. While this zebra mare has passed away, her body will provide food for countless other animals, like those vultures that we saw up on the tree. Oh, shame. This poor little thing lying down next to Mum. It will be interesting to see how long the rest of the family group does stay here with this little one, or around this area. Unfortunately, I have not heard of any cases or read of any cases where other zebra mothers will suckle a foal that isn't theirs, so it doesn't look that good for this little guy. Nicoline, you're asking maybe a snake bite? Nicoline, that is possible. Like I said, we haven't had a good look at the body. We can't really see much more than what we can see from here, and to get out of the vehicle and approach it would be we wouldn't do that, obviously, because that'll be very traumatic for that little foal. But a snake bite, I suppose, perhaps she got kicked by another zebra in the head. Perhaps she was sick. Disease is a possibility. Shame, little one. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens. I think we're gonna leave this little one and wish it all the best. But in the meantime, though, we're gonna try and find something a bit more upbeat. And I know that James has found something to cheer you up, so we'll send you across to him.
We do. We have got 2 wild hounds, wild dogs, painted wolves. I'm sorry if the picture's a bit jumpy. Apparently there's not much we can do about that right now, especially while these dogs are lying where they are. But maybe they'll move a little bit later and things will improve somewhat. It is a very disturbingly sad and miserable scene with a zebra. And while you might wish it luck, there ain't no luck for that, is there? That's a one-way ticket to nowhere. How very sad. Anyway, we'll hope that these dogs have a happy afternoon. They've certainly eaten something very large during the course of the morning. I'm not sure what it was. I also don't know to whom these guys belong. I'm sure James Richard will be on it immediately. I don't think they're members of the Pungwe pack, aka the Investec breakaway pack. I think that's what they were called. They're the ones with the babies up in the den just north of the Sabi sand. And they're quite nice. They're not too restful, which is great. So they are moving around a bit. I'm not sure they're going to get up and do any hunting anytime soon, but I think we're going to wait and find out. We're not going to drive off from them today. And a wonderful discovery of them. We came driving down this road, and I suddenly heard Niels muttering with great enthusiasm. I thought he'd been spiked in the head by a thorn or something like that. And actually what he was saying was, Wildhorne, meaning wild dogs. And so they were. I didn't see them. Well done, Niels. 25 points for you. Yeah, and many of you agreeing that this is the cheer you needed after that very sad picture of nature with a poor little zebra. Wonder how its mother died. Perhaps it was the dangerous activity of birthing. Now, because we're a bit closer to water, it's a bit more sound here. So we've got some crickets. We've got a couple of birds next to the water. The odd hippo going. Survival rate's very poor, Arena. I believe that the highest, one of the biggest litters ever recorded was 24 puppies. The average is probably closer to 12. 12 is pretty normal. Sometimes it's fewer than that. I'd say the survival rate is less than 10%. Okay, let's move a little bit, simply because we can, and I think that it's going to make a difference to our signal if we get up onto the left bank here. Left bank. Sounds like I'm describing a wine blend. Just where I know I've done segments before. Over the course of years. Let's go across to Lauren. She's got something awesome.
I have a squirrel. There's actually two, but I don't quite know where the second one's gone. And for me, squirrels are the most entertaining animals you can get out here. Highly entertaining and very, very naughty. We have a lot of animals that come into our camp, Swazi being the main culprit. But the squirrels are just as naughty. They'll come into your bedroom and they have learned exactly where everything is in the kitchen. They know the big box of nuts that we have. They know how to access the nuts. They know where the berries are. Squirrels know exactly what they're doing. And considering they only weigh about 200 grams, they eat a lot. Very smart. And marula trees are the perfect sort of spot for these tree squirrels to hang out. Once that sun starts to set, they'll do exactly what dwarf mongoose do. They'll run to the nearest cavity, the nearest hole, the nearest den, and sleep for the night. Now, I think our leopards snack on squirrels more than we even realize. All throughout the night, throughout the day, I think things like squirrels are an easy snack. I don't think they would be very fulfilling, but I think our leopards snack on them more than we realise. It just goes down in one gulp. Now, for those of you who are maybe wondering about the hyenas, I just want to give you an update. They have definitely moved. I have checked every single day, and they're not there. I have been to all the other dens that we know about, and for any of our long-standing viewers, that means Gwen's den, Aubrey's den, Mvubu den, Shibamu den, Zoe's den, and Gallagher Shortcut den. If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. All it means is that I have checked the sort of regular known dens that the hyenas use. So I'm a bit baffled, to say the least, but I'm not going to give up. I need to find Ribbon, and I need to find her little cubbies. We will find them. You've just got to put the groundwork in. You've got to look. And one day they will appear. They may even appear, or should I say reappear, back at den number 3, the original one. They were maybe just giving it a break to sort of air out, get rid of any moisture, any parasites. So we'll keep looking. So as I bumble on down to Treehouse Dam, we're going to send you across to Dylan and an aardvark.
We've got another aardvark, second one for the afternoon. I think you can just see it sticking out there or not. I can't see it. I'm just going to roll forward a fraction. I'm just going to go forward a fraction, yeah? Don't go anywhere. Just wait. This is really, really, really good. Guys, it's just in that clump of, just to the right of that tree. Go a little bit further back, Chandra. No, further back to your right. Go right. And now straight in there, in the middle between those big trees. A little bit left. He's straight in there, yeah. He's at the base of that bush. Okay, we're just going to have to be patient here a little bit. We might actually... Okay, there, he's out in the open. There you go. Jeez. He was giving me like heart palpitations there. Look at that digging. This is insane. 2 aardvark in less than an hour. But the key thing here is these big, beautifully grassed areas are very, very, very good for ants and termites, and that's the only reason we're seeing this density of aardvark in this area. If you're not having this grass cover, you don't get the density of ants and termites, and that means you don't get the ant-eating animals. Joe's commented how big they are. Yeah, these can get to 40 kilograms. Sometimes some literature even says more than 40 kilograms. I'm just so chuffed about this. He might actually come right around into the open towards the front of the vehicle over here. The hearing is exceptional, as you can imagine, with those long ears. So I'm always a little bit, I'd always err on the side of caution in terms of starting the vehicle and moving. The wind is still in our favour, so it won't be too bad, but I'd rather just give it the benefit of the doubt and see if it moves across our front before actually starting the vehicle up again. And what's very interesting to see, this one that is facing us now, that is gorgeous. Look at that. What's interesting with this one is I'm not seeing birds in attendance. Very often you get a number of different bird species that I actually wanted to chat about as well. That other aardvark pulled such a quick blind on us, but I think we're gonna get a really, really nice visual when he moves around to the front over here. I'm not going to ask Jandre to move the camera there, but I'm just going to mention, I see there's a hornbill, a yellow-billed hornbill moving in from the left. So this is like one of those quandaries that do you pull the vehicle forward or do you wait? I think we're going to wait rather. Let's just do as little disturbance as possible. Yes, I can't believe it. A 2 aardvark in less than an hour. This is awesome. Yeah, I think we're just going to stick here and hope that he comes out from behind this bush.
Our hounds have not moved. They remain, well, relatively active. Now, James Richard has told us that they're part of the Sands breakaways. In other words, they broke away from the Sands pack some time back. Thank you, James. I knew you'd know. Without you, I'd have to make up half the things I say. Without Judy H., I'd have to make up the other half as well. So lovely how they're just not like lions at this time of the day. You know, they don't sit around totally comatose. Yes, they're not running around hunting, but they're up and they're looking and they're beautiful all the time. Not to mention smelling as well. Now, the one with the ripped ears can hear something. They're lying in the last patch of sunlight that's going to fall on this little bit of dry riverbed. After which it's going to get a bit cooler and they may get up and move. Alternatively, they could just go and find another patch of sun, I suppose. Tom the Baker, they do look like very pettable dogs, I would agree with you. You'll find that they are not, in fact, pettable, though. If I got out of the car now and tried to give them a tickle, they'd run away. Scandalous that might seem, it is true. Now, what's also interesting is that I believe attempts have been made to domesticate them, probably not very strong attempts, but even puppies raised, you know, in rescue centres and that sort of thing, tend to start to wander. They don't tame properly like a domestic dog does. I don't think there's another member of the pack in there. I'm not sure why he's wandering off. Let's wait and see what his mate does. He's definitely still there behind the bushes on the little track. You see, that one's heard, keeps the one with those torn ears, keeps hearing something. But is not moving from the very comfortable bed of straw, soft straw. Yes, it is, Cindy, you're right. The silence of the afternoon is deafening for this hound. This is an incredibly quiet afternoon, it really is. Not unpleasantly so. And you can see from the size of that one's belly that a very fine meal was enjoyed this morning. A good Sunday brunch. Ooh. This is quite an afternoon we're having. Let's go up to Ngala now, where I believe Barney has had some spotted success.
Hard work of running around, following tracks to bushbucks, alarm calling, and eventually led us into finding this beautiful young male up a tree, successful with a bushbuck. Having a feast for the afternoon. He He's been feeding for quite a while. It looks like he at least had most of the hind quarters. There is still quite a lot of that carcass left. But it looks like he might have caught this thing area on today, because if you look closely at where he's feeding, there is a lot of flies buzzing around. He's found such a beautiful spot for himself in a hot Sunday afternoon to be nice on the shade and a very beautiful jackalberry tree where he's managed to balance his carcass so perfectly, and he's feeding like he knows that somebody else is going to come and steal it from him. So the possibilities are, there's so many possibilities of something else coming here. We're not too far from where the Pride had the buffalo. We saw a lot of hyenas there. And the Pride walked past this area on today. But wherever they are now, they might still be sleeping. So I don't think that's the least of his worries. So he's trying to eat as much of this carcass as possible, because he never knows if somebody bigger will come and chase him off and lose the carcass. You look at that beautiful bloody face. Looking at that bloody face, pink nostril, young male. It looks like a young male leopard that we have named Makoti male, who lives this thick, dense riverine areas, not too far. His territory is not too far from the Timbawati riverbed itself. He suddenly became, he's grown in the last while quite quickly, but he's become quite brave where, for his age, where he is maybe close to 2.5 somewhere there, he's just starting to rasp and mark his territory. That's not always a great idea for him to be doing, because he is still quite young. He is still in his father's territory. But his father has got such a big territory that sometimes he'll be gone for weeks before we spot him. And as we speak today, I don't think we've seen him in the last 2 to 3 weeks or so. So this young male at this moment in time, he, after this nice big meal, he is taking good care of himself, and it looks like it's going to make him gain more and more courage to carry on, do what he does best, which is just rasping around and walking parallel to this riverbed, and he's already started patrolling his territory. And if you ask me, I would think this guy started quite early to do that. Look at that. Looks like he got a little bit of a bone that he needs to get rid of. Otherwise, it might not go down too well. It looks like he's managed to break it, and then it's gone. Look at how long is that tail. You can see every now and again he moves around positions and he stops feeding and looks around just to make sure that he doesn't concentrate too much on the one aspect and forget about safety. Sharana, indeed, I don't think you can ask for a better branch right now to be on with the carcass and be feeding in a tree in this late afternoon. So he looks like he's still going to gorge himself for a while. There is a chance that if he's got a full base, most likely to lie next to the branch, or he might even come down, take us to go have his afternoon drink. So let's stick with him and see what he's going to do.
Well, everyone, I promised that we'd find something more joyful after that very sad scene with that zebra foal. And I think 2 cheetah cubs with their mother, with the most insane sunset in the background, will do just fine. Look at that. One of the youngsters just stretching a little bit. And he's decided that he wants to go behind that bush. But there is Mum and one of the other youngsters lying still in the long grass. And they are literally in the dead center of a massive open patch of grassland. Now, with that sun setting, this mother cheetah is going to want to find a safe place for her and her youngsters to spend the night. Oh, look at that stretch. Look at the toes. So she'll be wanting to find a safe place for her and her youngsters to spend the night, somewhere nice and open, so that she can use, so that she can detect any potential danger early on and warn her youngsters, and so that they can move away quickly if need be. And this spot we're in is perfect. Debbie, you are more than welcome. You say cheetahs always make you smile. Debbie, they always make me smile too. Especially when it's little ones like this. And it's... Oh, there's Mum. Look at how the baby's got its paw on Mum's back. The little cheetah cub's got its legs stretched out across Mum's shoulders. Obviously super comfy. Yeah, so Mum has done very well to find them the spot. And even just looking at her body language, look at how relaxed she is. Look at how her eyes keep closing. And for a mother cheetah to do that when she's got two little youngsters to look after, she's got to be feeling pretty secure. And very often, a mother cheetah with youngsters like this will be super twitchy and nervous, and every little sound, every little noise will make her jump up and look around. So for her to be looking that relaxed going into the evening, she's done well. Okay, we're gonna try for another view to try and get all of them in frame. In the meantime, we'll send you to some other babies.
Well, little is not the word I would use. We have a ginormous roadblock in the form of great big grey pachyderms. We do have a little one at the front there. Very, very young calf. Hello. Still getting to grips with its trunk, I think. Elephants really do take time to learn how to use their trunk. It's such a complex organ. No bones. Lots and lots of muscles in muscle bundles. It takes a lot of coordination. So we often say when elephants are in the water, they're having a whale of a time. I think Emma said it earlier, actually. But they're not related to whales in any way, shape or forms. The elephant's closest relative is the rock hyrax, believe it or not, and manatees. Manatees, in case any of you don't know, I think they get called sea cows. You should Google them. They look like big, fat, blubbery sea cows. Dugongs are very similarly related to manatees, the closest relatives of elephants. So you have some very closely related groupings of animals. You have elephants that we call pachyderms. And then you have cetaceans, which are your whales and dolphins. Then you have sirenia, that we call pachyderms. And then you have cetaceans, which are your whales and dolphins. Then you have sirenia for the manatees and dugongs. And they're all closely related, but very separated along the lines of evolution. So I'm not actually sure I can go anywhere at the minute, but you guys are going to pop over to the Aardvark.
This is the most incredible aardvark sighting. He walked right across the road in front of us, and now he's just digging. We are so close to him. We We're about 30 meters. I've got to talk very softly so we don't frighten him away. The wind has also dropped and it's just swirling very gently, so he might pick up our scent at any moment. But this is absolutely incredible to watch this. My goodness, this is just off the charts for me. Yeah, I'm happy if I see one aardvark in a month. 2 in one drive is incredible. But like in the open like this, wow. I'm actually stunned that he hasn't detected us yet. Because he was moving away from us and then suddenly he just started angling straight back towards us. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I think even Chandra is happy. It's like the cameraman's dream with a backlight. Look at those ears. Look at that nose. Clarissa, you're totally right. Absolutely stunning, stunning, stunning. And now there's some birds also coming in. The ant-eating chats are starting to look where he's foraging. We're not going to cut to them. We're just going to keep watching where this little aardvark goes. Oh, look, there's a bird right at him, right at him. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Oh, this is just fantastic to watch this. So those little ant-eating chats, they don't only eat ants, they'll eat anything that he unearths. So if he's digging up little worms and grubs and caterpillars, they'll go for them as well. And obviously also the ants that he goes for. What an afternoon. What an afternoon. And our colleagues are also having just these incredible sightings. So, yes, I'm so happy. Sure. We're just going to spend as much time as we can with this aardvark and see if he comes towards us or moves away.
We're still with our little family of cheetahs. We've just moved around a little bit to try and get a better view of them. So we've got Mum on the right and one of the youngsters just out of sight to her right, and then this youngster in the foreground busy grooming itself. Now, having a look at these two youngsters, it looks like it's the same two that you saw a couple of days ago with Marcel and Clive when they were eating that impala. So the little one closer to us, tough to see now because you can't see them both together, but he's got a little bit of a bigger head. He's a little bit kind of more thickly built. So that identifies him, even at this young age, as a male. And then his sister, like we said, can't quite see her just yet. She's a bit more petite, a bit smaller and skinnier. And have a look while he's grooming himself. Have a look at the back of his neck, everyone. Look at how light and fluffy he is. And that comes from when him and his sister were born. They would have been covered, at least along their backs, in this shock of white or very pale coloured hair that would have helped them to blend into the long grass. And because of that, so there's that shock of very light coloured hair on their backs that fades or it grows, kind of falls out as they get older. And it kind of remains for longest on the scruff of the neck where we can see it there. But as I was saying, so when they're born, that shock of white hair on the back, and then their bellies, the spots are very close together, so they look quite two-toned almost a bit like a honey badger. And there are some that or some scientists that speculate that perhaps that might be a survival strategy for young cheetah cubs. By looking like a fearsome honey badger, they might be able to avoid getting, or they might be able to deter predators from coming towards them. Okay, so we're going to spend some more time with our young cheetah and see what they get up to. In the meantime, let's see what James's wild dogs are up to.
I'm spending time with my dogs, one of whom is looking after the other one who's decidedly less restful. The one that we're looking at now has got a belly so round that it's a surprise she can breathe. Here comes the other one. Perhaps, oh no, going back to sleep. Let's go to the other one, Niels. He's biting bushes. Looks like he's thinking about perhaps coming down here. I'm hoping they're going to go for a drink, and we'll have them in the gorgeous light. But at the moment, no. Joy, I haven't seen the fat one stand up yet, so I'm not sure if she's a female or a male. I think she's a female. I've just kind of seen her roll over quickly. Then you see any equipment that would suggest that she carries a Y chromosome. Right, the other one's now running off. Right, people, hold on to your hats. Yeah, that's a female. I must say, Neil said, do you think she looks like she's got puppies? And I said no, because she doesn't, she doesn't have those very heavy milk sacs.
Apologies, James have had some technical problems while he's rattling through the bush trying to keep up with the dogs. I know the feeling is understandable. It's quite an exciting thing to see. However, we're back with our young male leopard at Ngala, who has been feeding for quite a while. Looks like he's had enough for now. He has climbed slightly higher up from where he was feeding. As you can see right now, he's making that tree look way too comfortable for my liking. Using one of his arms as a pillow, both his legs and the tail dangling from either side of the branch, and panting quite fast, trying to digest as quickly as he can. He looks like he's gonna be in this position, panting as he is doing now, trying to digest as fast as possible, so that when there's a little bit more space in his belly, he's most likely to come down and fill himself up a little bit more. He will try throughout the night to stay on his fullest capacity. Just for in case he happens to lose this carcass, at least he walks away with a full belly. So every now and again, as fast asleep as he looks now with a full belly like that, these guys never go into a deep sleep like we do. At the moment, there is nothing, no sounds that would disturb him or that sounds like it's a little bit of a threat for him. But if he is to hear anything moving around underneath the tree or a leopard roaring or anything like that, that could be a potential danger to his life, he will be up and about very, very quickly and just make sure that he knows where the sound is coming from, just to make sure what his plan of action will be. So looking at how higher up and how nice and dark, looking from the picture of where he's sleeping, he is trying to get as close as possible to the canopy of the tree, just so that he doesn't get the sun, hence the sun is still a little bit warm. Today, for a winter day, it was quite warm. So I think throughout the day, he suffered through that sun as well. And after having a full belly now, I think he needs a little bit of a shade to cool himself off, hence why he got as close as possible to that canopy. So the tray he's sleeping on is one of, we are not too far from the Timawati riverbed, and this is called the Jackalberry tree. Beautiful, beautiful specimen. Look at the trunk, it's really, really thick and with multiple branches where he slept at. The MGN, beautiful shade indeed. And looking at where he's sleeping right now, getting the proper shade that he needs. It doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. A little bit of a head shake there, maybe some flies are bothering him after having a little bit of a bloody face. He tried to clean himself a little bit, but it didn't really take too much time, so he might still have some little bit of blood here and there that the flies will be attracted to. And right now, all he wants is just to rest and maybe change a little bit of position and make himself look a little bit more comfortable than he looked earlier. Look at how long that tail is, how he's straightened the tail now, going parallel to the branch. Slightly different to letting it dangle on the side. Maybe he's just getting his balance right. Maybe the tail and his back left leg was starting to put a little bit of weight, which might be why he kept on correcting. It looks like now he's just figured out another plan of how to balance himself properly out there. Let's see how long that tail is going to stay in there. It doesn't look like it's going to be able to stay there that long. It's coming back down. Does look like the tail has got... It looks like the tail has got its own life. It just goes back where it wants to be. Let's stick around with him while we have a little bit of light to see what he might do or what might happen here, because maybe, you never know, maybe some hyenas might come. Maybe we can get a little bit of interaction, so let's hang around.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
We're still with our 3 cheetah. We've just moved ever so slightly so that we can actually see all of them together. And is that not just so precious? So there on the far right is that little young male. You can see Mum fast asleep in the middle, with her son's tail draped over her shoulders. And it looks like he just hit her in the head with his butt. Very rudely awakened. And then if you look very carefully on the left-hand side of your screen, you can just see her nose and her little tear marks coming down from her eyes to her mouth. There is the little female, resting also with her chin on her mum's rump. Look at how closely they're all huddled together, keeping warm on this chilly evening. It just shows how strong their bond is as well between this mother and her 2 youngsters. Now, quite an amazing story that these 2 youngsters have, in that they were born not far from here, and their mother, when they were old enough, started to... Look how the youngster's grooming Mum's ear. He just battered her in the face with his paw. It's not very nice. Before I get into the story, everyone, I just wanted to let you know. So we had a careful look. This young male got up a few minutes ago and just repositioned himself to find a more comfy spot to lie. And it looked like his belly was pretty empty. So I wonder if his belly's empty, Mom's belly must be pretty empty too. So this might be something for us to come and look for tomorrow morning. I don't think she's going to try to hunt anything now. Obviously, getting into the dark of night, a mother cheetah with her youngsters is going to want to just stay put and rest and rather be as vigilant as possible for any signs of approaching danger. But tomorrow morning, is a new day, and if he's hungry, then chances are his sister's hungry and that mom is hungry too. So maybe tomorrow morning they'll go and try and find something to eat. But coming back to this story, so mum, when these cubs were born, there were 4 of them. 4 little cubs all together, and one evening mum moved them across one of the roads and into a new area, and the next morning when we found them again, there were only 2 cubs, and we were all absolutely mortified because we found lots of fresh lion tracks in the area, and so we were worried that, our hearts all sank, and we believed that 2 of the cubs had been killed by lions in the night. And we made the decision to leave mum alone and leave the whole area alone. So no one was allowed to drive anywhere close, just in case the cubs were still alive, maybe hiding in an aardvark hole and calling to mum to come and rescue them after their escape from the lions. And luckily that is what happened. And after giving them two days, we came back to the area, and it still seemed like 1 youngster had been killed, but at least there were still 3 as opposed to the 2 initially. Unfortunately, since then it seems that mum has lost another one of her youngsters, but these 2 look super fit and super healthy, and they are just coming past, I think they're about 6 or 7 months now if I'm not mistaken, and from here on their chances of survival are going to get better and better as they go. So mom has done very well to keep these 2 alive, keep them fed in what is a very dangerous world for a little cheetah cub. And she's moved them over pretty much the entire expanse of the reserve, and has taken them from here in the far south up into the far north, where for many months we didn't see them at all, and we presume that is when the 3rd youngster disappeared. But now she's brought them back to pretty much where they were born, and we're hoping that she sticks around in this area and that we'll be able to find her and her youngsters and follow their story from here, watch the youngsters grow in the coming months, maybe even watch them learn how to hunt later on in the year. Wouldn't that just be fantastic? Look at how restless this little male is. He's obviously got an empty belly and wants mom to go and prepare dinner. But we're going to spend a bit more time with these cheetah and just take it all in as the sun starts to set behind us, and we'll let you know if anything changes.
We've just got this magnificent sable bull over the dune, which is like, as Murphy likes doing, just tucks himself away when we stop to start getting him. But I'll tell you a little bit about sable briefly. We're right on the edge of their natural distribution. This would be about the furthest western limit, and it probably historically would have been tenuous at best. So they kind of do okay. Yeah, they don't do brilliantly, but they do okay. And he's really pulled a blind on us now by just slapping himself straight behind that bush there. So sable are actually mixed feeders. They'll feed on leaves and twigs as well as grass. So that's, thank heavens he came out. That's a magnificent bull, eh? Wow, wow, wow. And there are many, many records of sable actually killing predators that go for them, including lions. And it used to be a species that occurred abundantly in many areas of South Africa. He's just going to lie down. But yeah, they used to occur over a massive area of South Africa, and in fact, they were so common in some places that they were actually shot for rations by people. I mean, can you imagine that? And now there's actually relatively few parks that you can go to and still see decent populations of sable. So that was just a nice one. I think we may have seen one on one of the drives at some point, but it was just really nice to see this one, eh? Thank you. Mind blown by the horns. It's like Yeah, that's what I like to hear. You know, it's not just like another animal and it's pretty, but I mean, these are super magnificent animals. And I think sable have got to be one of my favorites. Sable, bushbuck, eland, blue duiker. Ooh, that's a good one. Grysbok, there's lots of them. But sable are one of my favorites. It's like, I've got lots of favorite things. But I'm just so stoked. I mean, you got 2 aardvark, a beautiful sable, a leopard kill, okay, not fresh, but still. And I think we're just going to amble out into this incredible landscape over here, and maybe we can find something else for you. So let's keep ambling on. Yes, this is awesome, man.
So this boy has not moved much since the last time. He looks like he needs his rest. Maybe that will help him grow a little bit quick. So looking at how much of that carcass is still left, chances are that he'll still be in this exact same tree tomorrow morning. He might come down maybe in the evening to go have a drink somewhere. But right now it doesn't look like much will change. So what we were thinking of doing, remembering where we left our lions, Birmingham Pride this morning, and since it's cooling off quite quickly and the sun is about to set, after sleeping the whole day in that area, if they are still there, which I hope they will, it might be worth a while after finishing off with this guy here and let him sleep a little bit more to go check it out and see if they have managed to start waking up, if they're getting ready for the afternoon. They might not wake up too quickly because remember they also just walked away from a buffalo that they finished this morning sometimes. However, they might want to go and have a drink somewhere, move around a little bit more, or even try to find the young male that we were talking about. I think that might be something for us to go find out if they will be willing to do any of that after finishing up with this guy who doesn't look like he's gonna go anywhere anytime soon. Did well for himself though. The carcass is nicely secured, and right now he's taking a break when nothing else can get to him except another leopard. Bush baby, he is a beautiful leopard indeed. Still quite young, he's still got a lot to grow. He's possibly still going to grow to double his own body size because he's got some good genes, and it looks like unless he gets his face get ruined by other males later on, he's got a beautiful face. He looks so comfortable right there, it's not even funny. Just need to be careful. It looks like he's going into a deep sleep. He might wake up and on the ground. Just Aardvark.
We've got Aardvark number 3. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. We had 3 the other day, but over a much greater time span. Look at that. Look at that. Unfortunately, we've just seen it now with the wind going straight from us to him, so we can't, there's not much we can do about that, but it's still just so exciting to see that. Oh, my word, this is, I need some more expletives and adjectives. Maybe just GCM. We have no idea what that means, but apparently I keep saying it. I'm going to just try amble forward a little bit and get downwind of him. Let's see if that works. Just straight out there. It is very, very very difficult for genre. Thomas said, no way, 3 different aardvark. Well, of course, I mean, we could just come clean and say we've just been driving around the same one in a circle, but I promise you we haven't. This is definitely a third one. And unfortunately, this one got the drop on us because he's upwind of us, so our scent is blowing straight from us to him. Ellen calls them pig bunnies. Yes, this is... Hey? We could have a worse afternoon than this. I think we're just going to sit on a dune and have a sundown now and just chill, I think. Or we could go for number 4. What's the vote? Genre is saying going for 4.
We're still with our mother Cheetah and her 2 youngsters, and you might notice that Mum has moved a little bit. Look at that little youngster yawning in the front there. So that restless young male very cunningly went and positioned himself in front of that bush that you can see in the middle of the screen, and Mum followed suit shortly. And the reason for them doing that is that this chilly breeze that I've been speaking about is blowing from the other side of that bush. So they have very cleverly positioned themselves with the bush between them and the wind to keep themselves as warm and cozy as possible with the coming of night. And look at Mum, just sleeping super soundly. And the little female in the front grooming herself, and that little male at the back just peering over his mum's body. Look how mischievous he looks. Looks like he's planning maybe to pounce on his sister. Wouldn't that be amazing if he did that? Oh my word. That would be so cute. But I don't think it's quite the right mood for the scene that's in front of us. Everyone looks very kind of relaxed and ready for some sleep. Of course, Mom's twitching tail. Look at how that little male is looking at Mom's tail every time it twitches. The female just trying to bat away more than likely some flies that are buzzing around her rear end. And of course, that black and white stripy wiggly thing makes for an ideal play toy if you're a little cheetah cub. Oh, listen, they're purring. I don't know if you can hear that. They were purring. It must have been the little youngster. Just so nice having Mum cuddled up to you. It has stopped now, but it kind of, I suppose it sounds like a domestic cat purring, a little bit like this. We often find that when a mother cheetah and her youngsters are all kind of curled up together, keeping warm, huddled up, you often hear the little youngsters purring in contentment. Very sweet. Oh look, here comes the little female standing up. Again, look at that fluff on the back of her neck. Her arched back. Ooh, look at what she's noticed something. And if we zoom out, up on the horizon, there's a herd of Wildebeest. Just in the center of your screen there. Just off to the right, just off to the right there. There are some Wildebeest busy grazing on the hillside. Now, a Wildebeest is much too big, or at least an adult Wildebeest, is much too big for this mother cheetah to try and tackle. But you can't blame a little cub, especially a little cub that is hungry, for dreaming big, I suppose. Also, just goes to show how sharp their senses are. Caitlin, you're asking why cheetah can't withdraw their claws all the way into into sheaths like leopards and lions and other members of the cat family can. And Caitlin, it's because they don't hunt in the same way and they don't use their claws in the same way as other cats do. So lions and leopards and even domestic cats, they're able to sheath their claws. They need to keep their claws super sharp because they use them for climbing up and down trees and for getting a good solid grip on their prey so that they can wrestle it to the ground. A cheetah, while it can climb trees, it doesn't climb trees in the same way as a leopard or a cat would do. It doesn't go straight up and down. It'll only really be able to climb a tree if it can jump onto a branch or if the tree's sloped that it can kind of run up. And then it won't use its claws to pin its prey down. It doesn't wrestle its prey. It would, instead of stalking, ambushing, and then tackling its prey and wrestling it to the ground, it will chase it, and it needs those claws to be out to help them to keep traction on the ground as they run at those high speeds, and then it will then trip its prey up and then get onto it and grab it by its throat. So a little bit of wrestling at the end, but not quite the same as how a leopard or a lion or another cat would kill its prey. Oh, that little young female is super alert. Look at now, she's lifted her head up. I don't know what she's seeing off to the left. I don't see anything in that direction. But she's still peering at those wildebeest from behind the cover of the bush. She's doing a very good job of concealing herself at the moment, making sure that she uses all available cover to prevent the wildebeest detecting her. And Mom grooming her. This is just fantastic, everybody. So nice to... What a day also we've had today. We started the morning with lion cubs. And now it looks like we're going to end our afternoon, or the last few minutes of daylight, we're going to end with cheetah cubs. Oh, let's see what this little cheetah gets up to. Look at how she's... I was going to say, she looks like she's stalking, but I think she's just stretching. She's going to sit to look at those wildebeest. And look at how while she's sitting like that, she's got her ears pricked forward, but they, at the same time, they kind of drooped to the side of her head. And that's a very typical cheetah behavior when they're stalking something. They want to try and minimize their body profile to make themselves as inconspicuous as possible to their potential prey. And look at this, she's off on a mission. Where are you going, little one? You're going to try and hunt those wildebeest all by yourself. Jenna, you're saying this is so cool. I absolutely agree with you, Jenna. And I'm very interested to see where this little cheetah goes and what she does. Well, those wildebeest are a long way away. It'll be a long way for her to stray from her mum at this young age. No, she's sitting down. Looks like she's lost her courage. Or decided that maybe this is not the best idea. Looking back at Mum, maybe it'll be nicer cuddled up with you and brother behind that bush. But sitting straight upright, and still looking over in the direction of where those wildebeest are. And Mum has now sat up too, and she's looking over at her daughter, just keeping an eye on her, making sure that she knows exactly where she's going. Mom is looking pretty wide awake now as well. I wonder if maybe they don't decide to move their resting spot a little bit. We're going to spend a few more minutes with these cheetah, everyone, and see what they get up to.
This is a very, very, very cool sighting we got here. It's a gabar goshawk. There he goes. Incredibly adept flyers, and they hunt other birds, actually chasing them on the wing. They'll catch them on the wing. Sorry, he's just gone to a range that's a little bit difficult for us, but it's just really nice to see broad wings, wide tail. It's actually a narrow straight tail, but they actually got a nice they fan it out when they're chasing other things, so they super what's the word? Come help me out here, Jean-Andre. Agile. That's it. They're agile hunters, very, very agile hunters. Jean-Andre is useful to keep around. He's like a good dictionary there. But I'm just having a whale of a time out here this afternoon. Geez. No problems. We're going to try for number 4 on the Aardvark just because it's fun, and let's see what we can do here. So what we do is, as we're driving, we're using these dune crests, these high vantage points. We stop on there and then we scan with binoculars, and that's one of the best ways to find Aardvark out in this environment. So just on the top here, we're going to stop and scan.
You've joined us just at the right time, everybody. And it seems that the curious little female has enticed her brother to get up and come and join her in her little adventures. And even Mum is up as well. She's looking quite fidgety. That whole relaxed demeanor that she had earlier is all but gone. And it looks like she might move around a little bit. See the cubs there through the bushes, just waiting as if to say, come on, Mum, it's time to go. Where are we going to go next? What are we going to do? Are you going to catch us some food? Quite nice to see there the two siblings together. Look at how much smaller that little female on the left is compared to her brother. She's got a much smaller head. Ooh, it looks like the little one's stalking Mum. That was too precious. It was like a half stalk. Ooh. It looked like the female, or that looked like the mother cheetah there was maybe feeding on some of the grass there. And big cats will often do it, just like dogs will, if there's an imbalance in their diet. I've often seen big cats, especially lions, eating grass when their tummies are pretty empty. All together sniffing Mum. Oh! And there, remember I said earlier, that black and white tail, how it's irresistible to a little cub? Look at how that little female cub is batting Mum's tail around. Like it's a pool noodle or something. Oh, and the young male has seen it too. And of course, anything that his sister has, he'll want to take away from her. Aren't they just so beautiful? It looks like Mum is settling down a little bit more now. And they're all lying down again. I must say, I was gonna be a little bit surprised if this female cheetah did move at this time of the evening. And that whole scenario with the wildebeest, I thought we were going to have a replay of something I was very lucky to watch about a year and a half ago. We were sitting at an open clearing with a mother cheetah and her single cub. The cub was a little bit older than these two, and while we were sitting there watching them all curled up and resting, an enormous wildebeest bull came into the clearing on the opposite side to which they were, and the guests that were on the vehicle all got very excited. And they thought, oh my goodness, are we going to see a cheetah kill, or we're going to see this cheetah kill this wildebeest? And of course I said, no. Well, as I said earlier, a big wildebeest is much too big for a female cheetah like this to tackle. And the words were not even out of my mouth when the little cub started to stalk the wildebeest. And before we could even react, the cub started to try and chase the wildebeest. The wildebeest got a massive fright and started to run away with the cub in hot pursuit. And the mother, meantime, was watching this, and I could just imagine, and if she were a human, she would have been rolling her eyes at what was going on. But then she too stood up, and she also started to chase this wildebeest. And there was a massive chase across the clearing, and eventually the cub gave up, and the mum kind of caught up easily to the wildebeest, and then eventually kind of tapped off on the accelerator and cantered to a halt, and the wildebeest carried on running, and then they came back and laid down all together. All right, everyone, we're going to leave this mother cheetah and her youngsters rather, just to give them some time to settle into their environment in the dark. We want to give them as much time as possible to kind of take in their surroundings and make sure that they are safe. Like I said, I really want to go and find them again. So we're going to leave them, and we'll go see what Barney's got for you in the meantime.
Welcome back to andBeyond, Ngala. If you were with us this morning, we have managed to come back to the Pride, which looks like they're already starting to get up. You can see the young cubs, looks like they're doing their rounds, ongoing and greeting and trying to wake up all the older siblings. They have moved slightly from where they were or left this morning. Of course, it's already started cooling down. You can see majority of their heads are up, and they're already starting to yawn more and more. It looks like in a very short space of time, they might get up and start moving again. Their general direction, they've been kind of heading sort of more north. The wind is blowing from the north to the south, so it's a southerly wind, which is an excellent thing for them with the direction that they're choosing to head towards. That does mean that if there is any sort of prey close by, they've got a little bit of a head start, that they'll be able to smell their prey before the prey smells them. And of course, they were successful just the night before yesterday, so maybe that could be repeated. And looking at how their bellies were looking this morning to now, some of them look slightly emptier than this morning. Of course, they would have slept for most of the morning, digest and get up and go to the bathroom. As we sit here, I think we're sitting directly downwind to where some of them might have gone to the bathroom earlier on. The smell is not the greatest. I'm glad you can't smell that. So they slowly but surely getting ready. There's a way more activity that there would have been in the middle of the day, even if we were to be here. Let's see how long it takes them before we get up and be on the road again, and to see what they're gonna get. Look at that adult lioness yawning. Cindy, it's a beautiful pride indeed. The lionesses out of this pride, Cindy, they're so big, they've got such good genes that they are possibly some of the biggest lionesses I've ever seen. So back to the story of yawning, looking at how some of the females are grooming themselves, and they were busy yawning earlier on. One thing with lions, every single thing with animals might be interpreted differently to what we call, what things means to us. So with lions, completely the opposite to what yawning means for us. We yawn because we're tired, we're about to go to sleep. Cats yawn because they are just starting to wake up, just giving their brains a little bit more oxygen so that they can start moving. And most of these lions, including that lioness, big lioness slightly to the right, has been yawning a few times consecutively, which does make me think that she's ready to move. If she give us one or two more yawns, chances are that she's going to get up and start moving. And if that happens, majority of them will most likely start following. At the moment, she's just busy grooming herself, just getting rid of all, possibly the blood or the stomach content or anything that she would have got that doesn't make her look neat from what they had on that buffalo. And right next to her, it's one of the young cubs that is also yawning. So it looks like we're gonna go somewhere shortly. So of course this light is starting to fade down slightly to possibly be dark in the next 10-15 minutes or so. We're gonna stick with these lines for a little while and see what they do while we take another yawn from the adult lioness. And let's see how long they take them before they get up.
Our hippopotamus is back in the water, but this time with something else on its head. I don't know if this is a little grebe. This is a young bird sitting on top of the hippo's head. Not the oxpeckers this time. I'm sure this is the same hippo we saw earlier. If any of you can ID this bird, please do let me know.
Article on Tin Dams Road, come in.
Isn't it just lovely? The sun is starting to set so you can see the reflection and the glow all across Gowrie Dam. And the reason I'm back here is because I'm convinced Lamba's around here somewhere. This is a perfect time that leopards will get mobile, and I'm convinced she's here. I've been round and round and I can't see any tracks of her leaving this area. Many of you are convinced it's a little grebe. I also think so. Bigger, of course, but still young. And deciding that sitting on a hippo is a good idea. Are you friends? And this does just show you that hippos are not carnivores. If hippos were carnivores or bird eaters, this little grebe would be snapped right up. But of course they're not. They're herbivores. This is actually very sweet to see a ginormous grey mammal making friends with a feathery creature. A young one at that. And I'm glad he's back in the water. It's a mini tsunami for that little grebe. Wow. It's a little grebe. Did you hear that? It's one of my favorite bird calls. Karishma, you're asking a very difficult question. I hope I get this right. Do I think... Sorry, this hippo's just been very entertaining. I think it's Dewey. I'm not sure if it... I really believe they're playing with one another. Interspecies play. Karishma, you're asking, do I think animals are aware of their strength? That's a very tricky question. I'm not entirely sure I know how to answer it, but you did refer to the hippo being stronger out the water than in the water. I think an animal... This is ridiculously entertaining. I think an animal like a hippo would be aware of its own strength with regards to what it can challenge and what it cannot. Of course, there could be misjudgment, but I think, let's just take a leopard, for example. A leopard very much knows that it could easily take on a hyena. But a leopard would rarely take on 4 hyenas, and a leopard would not approach a lion. So with regards to that, Karishma, I do think most species, I'm not sure I can speak for them all, have some sort of self-awareness of their strength. I also think that species are aware of what's a threat and what's not. And this is a perfect example. You have a massive hippo with huge teeth and tusks and a tiny little grebe. And yet this grebe has shown absolutely no fear. It's aware that the hippo's not a threat, but yet that hippo potentially could really injure that animal or kill it. But the grebe is quite confident that it's not going to. So there has to be some sort of cognitive awareness, some sort of self-awareness of their own strength. I think that's learned behavior. I think when most mammals at least are young, there's a lot of experimenting. Leopards, for example, will try hard when they're young to kill things or maybe get it wrong. They got to learn what angle to tackle things from, how... roly-poly. Put it in pie. What an adorable sunset segment. What a fantastic moment. I'm really happy I got to share that with you all. I'm going to let my... Oh, it's defecation time. Yep, helicopter style. We are going to let our hippo do his thing and send you over to some very playful lion cubs.
We're back with the pride. They have been slightly active, getting up, moving and lying down again. You can see the lioness closest to us is giving this young female cub a detailed clean. You would have noticed on your screen that the pictures are now black and white as she stands up, stretch and look like she's about to go. We have switched over because we're losing our light very slowly. We've switched over into infrared, which is the picture we're using without having to put a light on these lines. However, it sacrifices the color, but you can still see it perfectly without any light shining on these lines whatsoever. And that is just to make sure that we are being extra sensitive to them, and also because they've got those tiny little cubs. With us putting the light, we might attract attention of the other predators if they're close by, like hyenas, which a hyena might try and sometimes might get it right, but with the whole pride settling down together like that, that hyena will be suicidal. But that, so it could be dangerous for things like other predators, like other lions, if they're not part of the same pride. And also the fact that there is those cubs that are only about 3 months old, we try and avoid, just to be sensitive on their eyes, not to put the bright light at all. So if you can just bear with us, I think, not putting the light is the great thing, and having this infrared light that helps us to see these animals without disturbing their movement is actually quite a great thing. So look at how these two lioness and the young female are giving each other a detailed lead. It does look like they might be the first two to eventually get up and starting to move. They've been more active than the rest. They've stood up a few times. And look, if the lioness is giving the mother a detailed clean at the back of the ears. It looks like she might be picking up some ticks every now and again, seeing how she stops in one spot and starts using her teeth instead of her tongue. And the rest of the bride in the background are also slowly but surely doing the same. One of the big lionesses has just popped her head up, looking far behind on a distance. She woke up quite suddenly there, like she's heard something, which I didn't hear. But look at how focused she is. And she stands up. Again, she looks back onto that direction as I just indicated. Their sense of hearing is much more better than ours, not only because I'm talking, but it's definitely something that's happening that they hear that I didn't hear. Look at how all three adult lionesses are so focused back on that direction. Something we talked about this morning, look at that. If you look carefully, something we talked about this morning, which you can see clearly right now, is that black behind the ears as all of them turn their heads and look on the direction, which I'm 100% sure they heard something there which I can't see yet. And look like they're going to try and carry on to see what it is. Look at the whole bride now, it's up and facing back that way. So it will be interesting to see what that is. We will hang around with them for a little while and see what unfolds.
Home, everyone, and we have found ourselves hemmed in by an enormous herd of buffalo. They've surrounded us on all sides, just as we were driving past. Listen to that, listen. Can you hear those monkeys going berserk, everybody? There's a very loud chattering sound coming from just in front of us. It sounds like I've never heard monkeys going that crazy before, everybody. It sounds like something has potentially tried to attack them while they've been roosting. Oh my goodness. I was going to get you all to listen to those, just the sounds of the buffalo around us as they're walking, their hooves hitting the ground and then moving through the grass. I'm just going to keep quiet for a bit so we can listen. So with the herd now having crossed the road, we're going to go and see what those monkeys were alarm calling at. And while we do that, let's go and take in the last few rays of light with Dylan.
So we are still on the lookout for our elusive number 4. But what we're just enjoying while we're doing it, I mean, this massive landscape. The light here this afternoon is just something unworldly. It is absolutely gorgeous. And we're just stopping on these dune crests here, these high points, and then just scanning with binoculars. You're looking for any sign of birds flitting around that might give an indication of, and remember, it's not just aardvark, it could be pangolin as well that they'll follow. But of course now it'll start becoming more and more challenging, because as we head towards sunset, which is another 10 minutes away, so these birds are going to be actually going down into their burrows and or nesting sites, depending what species it is. So you'll get less clues as to the whereabouts of these other little guys. But what an afternoon, what an amazing amazing afternoon we've had out here. Wow. This light is absolutely golden, eh? Yeah, I mean, you don't get better than this, eh? Yeah. And of course, as you can see from that view that you're watching there, the amount of grass out here, you know, to find any other smaller little creatures can be quite a challenge, but that's what's fun. We have some gemsbuck down the bottom over here, but I think there's a piggy running out in the frame. You'll see him popping out, the little dust kicking up in his tracks over there. That's a warthog. When I say a piggy, I am referring to a warthog. Wow, I'm just loving this light. MJ, you're quite right. How beautiful is this? This is absolutely spectacular. It's actually nicer when I'm not saying anything, so let me just keep quiet. Ellen says that is living the life. No, it really is. And a whole lot more. And a whole lot more.
Now we are quite a long way further east than Tswalu, and so, well, it just gets darker earlier here than it does there, which is totally normal, expected. I'm afraid our wild dogs disappeared, and we had them for another, 10 minutes or so after our signal failed us, and enough time for me to, I think, establish quite firmly that the female was pregnant. I don't know if you heard me say that. Now, that would be late in the year. It's interesting, but, it's not too late for them to find a termite mound and have pups. So it's definitely worth driving Cheetah, I think, probably more often than we have been, on the off chance that she isn't going to give birth sort of in one of the massive termite mounds on the eastern sides of Cheetah. Anyway, we'll keep an eye. It'd be quite exciting, wouldn't it? And we had our own very own wild dog den. Ha. Yes, watch and wait, an appropriate name, saying please let there be a den on Djuma. Well, we all feel the same. We all, at this time of year, feel very jealous of anybody who has a den. When I was at Ngala, we had a den twice, 2 years in a row. We had a lovely wild dog den, which was very special. At Londolozi, when I was there, we had one 1 year. There's one there now, as many of you will know. And the Pungwe pack now have got a den really not far from Djuma's northern boundary, and I'm surprised we don't find them hunting here more often. I suppose they're just going into the Manyeleti to hunt. It's a pity Ngala doesn't have one. I mean, it's such a lovely big piece of land. We'll now just quickly check the most underperforming waterhole at Djuma. And there is nothing. Yeah, no, that's pretty standard. There's quite a nice reflection we'll have a look at. A listen to the night sounds at Djuma's most unproductive waterhole. But it is very pretty. I always think the combination of yellow and navy blue works rather well. Don't you? Hello, Hans. You think that there are lovely noises here? I think there's some pretty nice noises. We can hear a couple of crickets. That's about all we can hear, really. Lovely cricket sounds. Different kinds of cricket sounds. No, Akila, this waterhole doesn't even have a grebe in it. This waterhole has got some terrapins befouling the water, a very loyal pair of blacksmith lapwings. That's it. I did have one of my best sightings on foot ever here, the Djuma Pride, followed by wild dogs, which was very nice. All right, let's go back up to the Kalahari, where it's a bit redder and a bit brighter.
We've stopped on another dune crest now, and we are just taking in the incredible vastness and beauty of this landscape. And in 15 years being at Tswalu, because I can't really say working at Tswalu, kind of, it's a bit unfair, but for the 15 years that I've been on Tswalu, and having been to the Kalahari many times before that, this place just never ceases to amaze me. The sheer beauty of it. And you think how ancient this land is. Those hills that you're seeing, those mountains that you're seeing, those deposits were laid down 1.6 billion years ago. And we are at the singular pinpoint in time. We are a dot, tiny, minuscule dot on this incredible landscape. fish eagle. No, I didn't collect any of the biltong from that tree. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But wow. And just think what secrets those hills hide. What we've still got to discover. And the stuff that we'll never discover about them. Whether it's some historical aspect to it or a species that could always just be out there. Just waiting. Rachel has just asked if people ever climb these mountains for research or recreational purposes. We've got, we actually at the moment, we don't have any research projects that are focused on the mountains at all. And because these hills are quite, they're very broken, loose, rocky hills, there's not that much recreational walking. I've done, I did it's an absolute thumbsuck ballpark figure. In 15 years, I've probably done about 7,000 kilometers on foot along these hills. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of them, but there's still massive areas that I haven't covered yet. But I will, one day, when I'm big. Yes, it's endless. And that's the beauty of these systems, these massive, vast spaces. It's not just the individual species that we doing our best to try and conserve in these places, but it's the sum of the whole. It's the sum of all these parts that make it work. It doesn't matter what reserve you're in, it's every single thing out here has a place. So. Yeah, I think we're just going to take a nice relaxed amble back and just take in this beauty here. There's no other words for it.
Talking of beauty, we have the most magnificent sunset. Right across, you can see the Drakensberg Mountains. I think we should just appreciate this for just a moment. Hey, Mimu. Asking if that's rain on the horizon. I don't think so. I really don't think so. You've got some clouds that definitely don't look like rain clouds. I hope not. It's really not common to get sort of lots of rain in the heart of winter here. Rain comes with the summer, and it's to do with the pressure cells sort of meeting in the middle and creating a convection cell, and that's what means we get heavy thunderstorms during summer. Thunder, lightning, heavy rains. But during winter, it's cold temperatures with very, very little rain. And I don't think there's rain on the horizon. But you never know. Even when we have the quiet days out here and we don't find the animals we're looking for, the sunset's always worth it. I'm not going to give up on my hyena mission, everyone. I will continue to search, I promise. Okay, I'm going to take a nice little rumble home too. But for the last few minutes I've tried.
I've just been so excited today about not just what we've been seeing on Tswalu, but what our colleagues have been seeing in the other places and that as well. And I think, you know, you have good viewing every day. You know, the odd thing here and there, and it's all really fun and exciting. But you get days like today that are just really exceptional on a lot of different levels. And you know, that just highlights the incredible biodiversity in these places. But I think for me, more than that, it highlights the biodiversity that's out there in any place. And again, you know, I've said it before, you know, it could be a park close to your house. It could be a small patch of forest within an hour's drive of you. It could be your back garden, literally. Sometimes all it takes is just getting out on the ground, getting down on your hands and knees and start looking for the small little things. And so we are incredibly privileged to work in these kind of environments, and that's, you know, none of us take it for granted ever. But just being able to share these kind of landscapes and the biodiversity that it protects is just something that's priceless. I mean, we can't put a value on that. So it's very, very special having you all along on the journey here. And it is a journey. I mean, it's an endpoint destination. Krishna has just asked an excellent question, probably my favorite question of the day in terms of the ecology of the greater area. There's been other amazing questions, but this one, Krishna has just asked, do the mountains act as a reservoir of some sort? And on so many different levels, that answer is a resounding yes, absolutely. Number one, as a catchment for water. So any mountains, doesn't matter how arid your area is, are very, very important as catchments, key drainage areas for water, and should be looked after very, very carefully in that regard. But then also as reservoirs of biodiversity, because you've got this gradient from these open flatlands going up into the hills. So your biodiversity in your mountain areas here, certainly in our area, is actually a lot higher than anywhere else. So yeah, very, very good point that. And they often act as corridors for other species moving in and out of these areas, vagrants and that. So yeah. But yeah, it's just to look at these landscapes and think how ancient they are and what they've seen. If they could talk, I think it would be a story that none of us would even be able to dream of in our wildest imaginations. And we are here, part of it, and actually able to share it with you and try get the essence of this landscape across to you. I think have an amazing evening. Wonderful having you with us. Stay safe, and we will see you again tomorrow morning.